Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Wealth in Christ podcast, a show where we encourage you to find spiritual and financial balance in their life to the abundance grace of God. On a podcast today, we have Mr. Carl Michel, who has written a best-selling book called 365 Hip Hop Daily Motivation. As you can see, he's showing us right there. In addition to being an author, he's also a coach to authors and inspire authors who want to share their story through books. And today we're going to talk about how Mr. Carr became a best-selling author and how he teaches others to do the same. So
Yeah.
thank you for being here, Mr. Carr.
Yes. Thanks for having me, King. Thanks for having me. It's a blessing, an honor, and a privilege to be here with you. A brother who's alike in spirit, alike in faith, and alike in wealth as well. So I know you're going to take it to the top.
Thank you. So what led you to becoming an author?
Need is the answer to that, man. A lot of things. I don't know how much time we have that I can share the story, but
Take your time. Take your time.
There's multiple factors, and the shortest version of that is, for me personally, I was going through a very dark time in my life. I was turning to the bottle more than I was turning to the Bible.
Mm.
At that time, my parents were going through probably the roughest patch in their marriage, and instead of praying, meditating, reading scripture, and healing from the situation, I decided to cope with it with drinking, partying, sex, and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? And I realized I was practicing a lot of destructive behaviors, and God literally had to shake me up to wake me up, in a better, so to speak. So what happened was I pretty much just embarrassed myself on a business trip. I was hungover, I was drunk, I was sloppy, I was throwing up in front of people who were looking up to me as a business leader, and it was very, very embarrassing moment for me. And I just decided in that time, I'm going to fast or take a break from drinking for a full year. Mind you, I've never done anything like that in my life. I fast from drinking. And of course, many of you understand fasting as, pausing your diet and not eating, right?
Yeah.
But I like to just basically say fasting is taking a pause from anything you feel like you can't live without, right? So when you fast from food, you end up at your lowest level physically, like you're physically weak, but you're going to be at your highest level spiritually, right? So for me, when I took a fast or a break from drinking, it literally just cleansed my mind, body, and soul. I was sharp with my mind. Everything was on point, and I made a deal with God. Like, I want to be an executive director with my company at the end of this year of fasting. It didn't end up happening that way. Month 11, I didn't drink, but I was frustrated because I'm like, man, I'm not going to get a promotion with my company. It's not looking like it, you know? And I had a choice in that moment in my frustrated prayers. I don't know if you ever had a frustrated prayer.
I have.
Like, God, you told me you was going to do this. You ain't doing it.
I have.
I held up my end of the bargain. What about you? Like, this is my prayer to God. Like, yo, what's up with you? And God didn't answer me. He was silent. I didn't hear any voices, no signs, no, nothing was being said to me. It was like he was ignoring me for 2 weeks. God was testing me to see if I would go back to what I said I wouldn't go back to, right? So within 2 weeks, he didn't speak to me at all. I was still continuing to fast. I was still continuing to pray. I was still continuing to work out and all this other stuff. So I didn't go back to drinking when I had the opportunity to. Within that 2-week time frame is when the idea for my book came about. Now, the idea came because every time, like during my spiritual journey, every time I turned on the radio, I heard a destructive message. Sex, drugs, money, violence, same message, different beat. I love hip hop music, but all the things that I heard on mainstream radio was contradicting my lifestyle, it was promoting a lot of destructive things. And God blessed me with the idea not to make music, but to highlight the biggest influencers of the music and the positive things that they said. So all I did was added my motivation and daily affirmations to it. And that's how I got 365 hip hop. So it didn't come until after I fasted, after I was tested, and after I was obedient.
That's a testimony right there. That's definitely a testimony. But I definitely want to spend more time on, I guess, hip hop. Like, hip hop has a very big influence in the minority group in terms of how youth, view things. So I guess, what would you say to youth right now who probably listen to this podcast? They listen to hip hop all the time. They listen to Drake, all these little baby, name it. And like you said, a lot of them, some of the messages sometimes can be very
Right.
destructive. So how would you tell someone to go about, like managing all of that?
Anything that's going to lead you further away from Christ is not something that you should be participating in. Okay. Um, there's a lot of there's a lot of things I want to say. So that's the main thing. Anything that's going to push you further away from Christ is not something you should be participating in. Pay attention to the messages that they're saying. There's a lot of positivity now in hip hop. There's starting to be a lot of positivity. There's starting to be a lot of messages that are solid, right? So you want to pay attention to those. I learned to never be impressed with a man with no message. So
Mm,
somebody that you're listening to is pouring negativity into your life, you should stop listening to them. You should stop following them, things of that nature. When people that I know have committed some crimes, guess what? They're listening to the most gangster music in the car on the way to commit those crimes, right? When you feel your most elevated, that's usually when you're listening to a positive or uplifting or spiritual song. So just be very mindful of how delicate our ears are, because they can really influence us, right?
yeah.
Some, your best friend that you are around all the time will probably influence you more than your parent at some point, you know?
100%
So
right.
they're in your ear, and it could be a negative thing that they're saying. So just be very mindful of what I like to call our diet. Your diet is not just what you eat, your diet is what you see, it's what you hear, it's what you are surrounding yourself around. My mother used to tell me a scripture from the Bible. She says, "Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character." If you surround yourself with 9 friends who smoke, more than likely you're going to smoke. If you surround yourself with 9 friends who are committing crimes, more than likely you're going to start stealing, committing crimes, robbing people, things of that nature, because you're surrounding yourself with that environment. So, what if you surround yourself with people who go to Bible study? What if you surround yourself with people who are on honor roll? What if you surround yourself with millionaires or people who are financially sound? You're going to start doing different things. Now, pay attention to what you listen to. When I'm in the car, sometimes I listen to music, but for the most part, I'm listening to audio books. So instead of picking out the worst hood, ratchet things that are not feeding your spirit, start to seek out and pay attention to the songs that uplift your soul. There's a lot of mainstream artists that are spitting positivity. There's a lot of Christian or gospel artists that are uplifting your spirit. So you want to pay attention to those things that feed your soul.
Nope, that's definitely great. Do you have any like favorite artists or books you read while you're in the car?
Yes. So I have an Audible subscription, right? Um, so Audible is great because I'm a very busy person. I'm in the car all the time. If I'm not in the office, I'm in the car. If I'm not in the studio, I'm in the car. So I like to listen to John C. Maxwell. I like to listen to E.T., the hip hop preacher. I like to listen to Les Brown. I like to who else? Who else do I like to listen to? There's a lot of amazing up and coming people, and I like to listen to a lot of local author. I'm not local, but independent authors as well. So just pay attention to whatever you want to accomplish, there's a book for it already.
Right.
So if you want to learn how to better time manage, or better, or treat people with kindness, there's a book called Well Done that I recommend. If you want to get better every single day, there's a book called The Compound Effect that I like to revisit. If you want to be a better leader, there's a book called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. There's so many things. If you want to become wealthy, there's Think and Grow Rich, and there's also Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice, which is the Black version of Think and Grow Rich. So there's so many things. Whatever you're seeking, it's going to. There's already a book written about it. Right now, I'm reading a book called The Whole Man. It's a pastor and his wife that created the series. There's also The Whole Woman for all the women out there. So that's what I'm reading for the month of June. And before that, I was reading Devon Franklin's book. Devon Franklin's book is called The Truth About Men. And it was really helping me understand my innate nature as a man,
Yeah.
and how to better treat the women in our lives.
That's definitely great. That's definitely great. Definitely say a lot there. But something that came to my mind, I know somebody's gonna listen to this podcast, and they're gonna ask, a lot of times when people ask people why they listen to hip hop and all these like very aggressive songs, a lot of times most people say, I like the beat. The beat is great. It's not so much what the message, but I like the beat. So how would you address those kind of people? Like, I just like the beat. The beat is fire, but the message still get into your system, still get into your spirit, but I don't know.
The beat is the way to get you to listen, and the message is what you really need to be paying attention to, because our subconscious mind um, determines who we are, essentially, right? So if we have these messages being poured into us, whether you pay attention, it could be in the background or whatever the case may be, but soon enough you're gonna start singing, "Whoop that trick," what just all these catchy, derogatory things. It's like, oh shoot, this beat is fire, but whoop that trick. You start riding the car, like no music playing in the car, but you start to whoop that trick, like just different
Yeah, you're
things.
right.
And uh the songs are so catchy, it's beyond the beat, you know. So I would say be very intentional. Let's just put it that way. Be very intentional with what you invest in. And your time is being spent, even if it's in the background, your time is being spent downloading messages that aren't good for your system, your computer system, your mind, your body, your spirit, right? You're downloading these messages intentionally, whether you know it or not. They're coming in. They will affect who you are, you know.
100%.
Yeah, they will affect who you are. And you know what's crazy with me? Sometimes I've I've grown spiritually and emotionally enough to tune some things out and pay attention to the good parts.
Yeah.
So I could be having a conversation with you with a song blasting in the background, and I'm like, "Ooh, that was a good line." He said, "I started from the bottom." Now he had like, it would be just little things that I would pick up in the middle of a verse. I'm like, "Oh, that's good," but not everyone has the ability to do that. They say, eat the meat and spit the bones. Right? There's opportunities for you to catch the good things and reject the bad things, but not everyone is able to do that. So I would just say be very intentional with what you put into your system and what you listen to.
That's definitely great. That's definitely great. So my next question is, how did you position yourself to becoming a best-selling author?
That's $1 million question right there. Find the right person who knows what they're doing and follow their lead. That's the easiest way to put it. You're going to find, specifically when it comes to books, right? You're going to find people who have written books before, but have no idea what they're doing. Yeah, you're going to have people who have helped other people publish their books, but they have no idea what they're doing. And I realize that I'm always a student in the game, no matter how long I've been in this, no matter how many bestsellers I have, no matter how many thousands and thousands and thousands of books sold. You can always learn something new. But when I was getting ready to release my book, I was looking for help. And I just realized not a lot of people knew what they were doing until I found a couple. So shout out to Kathy and Steve Kidd with Kidd Marketing. They helped me with the strategy to place my book on Amazon, and they helped me with a lot of things that I had no idea about before I met them. So I was humble. I became a student of the game. I learned from a great coach, and I was able to apply what I learned. And the book has literally been the launching pad to my career. Since then, I've gone on to become an award-winning motivational speaker. I've gone on to be an executive producer with the Youth Empowerment Show. I've gone on to build a great network of people, and now I'm a book coach. So far, we've helped a little bit over 100 people through my Write a Legacy workshop. And of those 100, 21 of them actually published their books, and all 21 of them are best-selling authors today. You
That's
know,
great.
so
That's great.
we've been rocking and rolling.
That's great. Could you share one of the strategies that you learned that help you become a best-selling author?
One of the strategies that I learned, I'll give it to you for free, but mostly I charge for this, right?
No problem.
um, what you want to do is there's a lot of things that you can do. There's so many strategies. People underestimate the power of their network. They underestimate the power of their resources. The cell phone right here has so many resources in the palm of your hand. So I tell all of my authors, make a list of every single person you know. I don't care if it's 500, I don't care if it's 1,000, and literally just let them know, like, hey, I'm really excited. I'm getting ready to launch my book. Can I count on you for your support? Something as simple as that. If you contact everyone on your list, they need to know that what you have going on. There shouldn't be anyone in your life that doesn't know you have a book or something going on.
Right.
The problem is we think we can just post on social media. Oh, they'll see it. No, it's not about them seeing it. It's about you personally contacting them and making the sale. Not a lot of people like that word sale, but you cannot be a bestseller without selling to people,
Right.
you know? But I would say start with a list of people that know you, like you, and trust you, and that would be happy to support you. And then also pay attention to the genre of book that you put the genre that you put your book in, right? Yes, it's a children's book, but children's book about what exactly? The more specific you get with the genre, the better it is for you.
Basically, what I was saying, that a lot of times, when you listen to social media, you hear a lot of authors or just people like coaches similar to you saying, if you have any story, you can just write about it. And there's always an audience for that. So is that the case? Is there an audience for every story that you can come up with?
I believe everyone has a story, right? Because everyone has a testimony. So your testimony, your book is just your testimony on paper. Okay. So God would never allow you to go through and grow through things for you to just keep it to yourself. He wants you to spread the gospel. He wants you to tell everyone how he's blessed you, how you've benefited from serving him, how you've involved God in your entire process, and these are the fruits of the labor. These are the benefits. God saved you from this, or you've overcome that, or whatever the case may be. Everyone has an example of a way God has helped them. Write it out. Write it out. If you are a personal trainer, if you are a movie director, if you are a business owner, you have a set of knowledge and expertise that most people don't know. Most people don't have. What makes you so great at what you do? Man, if you wrote down these 5 action steps, you can probably sell that as a book, you know? So I do believe everyone has a story to tell. People write children's books, people write poetry books, people write cookbooks, people write stories about their lives and their memoirs and things of that nature. Maybe you've overcome some significant circumstances. Maybe you've overcome trauma. Maybe God saved you from an abuser. The more stories we share, the more healing that we're going to have, right?
Right.
um, when you keep something, when you keep an experience bottled up, it's not serving anybody. You know, express yourself. You can do it verbally. You can do it through writing.
Coaching program and what you offer to authors and
Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. So I run a program called Write a Legacy, right? The Bible says a wise man or woman leaves an inheritance for his children's children. Now, your inheritance could be financial, your inheritance could be knowledge as well, right? What I'm doing right now is for my children's children's children. They will know my name. I don't know about you, but I don't know my great 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 grandfather, you know, but Elvis Presley's great 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 grandkids know who he is. You
yeah.
know, like why don't we know our lineage? So I'm making it a point to make sure my great great grandchildren know who I am. That's why the service is called Write a Legacy. So I'm helping so many people make a mark in history, right? So I started myself. I became a bestseller a few years ago, and now we're helping so many people do the same. With our Write a Legacy workshop, we help you go from outline to finish line. So even if you just have it in your head, I'm going to show you how to get that on paper. We work out an outline with you. We help you with your rough draft. But then what do you do after you have a rough draft? Most people have no idea. So we're going to help you with the best book cover. We're going to help you with the editing. We're going to help you with the formatting. We're going to help provide you the documents you need to self-publish. Where do you go to self-publish? How do you do that? Most people don't know. So not only are we going to help you self-publish, we're going to help you globally distribute the book. So anywhere in the world, not just the country, but anywhere in the world you go, they will have access to your book. All right. In addition to that, we help you grow your social media following. We help you with specific sales strategies to help you become a bestseller. We give you the secrets that you need and the strategy. We also help you earn six figures with your book, because too many times people look at their book as a product but not as a business. So we show you how to look at your book as a business, have multiple streams of income, and then we help you with your launch party. We do a virtual book launch and invite your friends and family and just have a good time interviewing you. So that is the program with Write a Legacy. If anyone wants to get in contact with me, you can send me. You know what? Between you and me, I'm gonna give your viewers my direct number. You have full access to my cell phone. So if you have a question on becoming a bestseller or just publishing your book, you can type out the words "I'm next" and text that to 203-541-1313, and I will get it directly and I will answer you.
That's great. That's great. So where do you see yourself in 5 years as an author?
I'm going for the crown, man. So New York Times bestseller is
All
the
right.
next goal. Okay, so that's been a dream of mine for a while now, and I've been blessed to sell enough books to get the attention of major corporations. So my next book is going to be released through a major distributor, and we'll be going for a New York Times bestseller.
That's definitely great. So you mentioned something earlier, in terms of Amazon, and I was listening to like a podcast like a couple weeks back, and the author was saying that as an author or someone who inspires me, author, it's not great then to put your product on Amazon because the profit you make is like little to none. Is that true?
Well, it depends on the product itself, but I understand the point. I wouldn't say it's not good to put on Amazon. I would say understand what you're doing and understand what the differences are. You have options, right? Amazon is the number one platform for practically any product. So you probably want your products on Amazon, okay? But just understand, when you're dealing with the number one company in the industry, they have more leverage than you do. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Mm-hmm.
So they can say, hey, you know what? I want 40%. And you have the option to say, all right, cool. Or no, I'm not doing that. But I like to, I never let my authors just put one product on one platform and call it a day. Yes, you can put it on Amazon. There's going to be smaller profit margins. Yes. But you can also put your book on your website. You can also put it on Barnes and Noble. You can also put it in Walmart. You can put it in Target and all these other places. You don't have to limit yourself to one platform or one thing, you know? So give yourself options. You might take a smaller profit margin, but man, I'd rather have 60% of $1 million, you know what I'm saying, than 100% of $20,000. You know, so it just really depends on you, right? But give yourself multiple options, because I like to never leave money on the table. If I'm gonna get $1,000 over here and $2,000 over here, I don't want to choose between either or. I'm gonna find out a way to get both.
That definitely makes sense. That definitely does make sense. So one other question I have: what are some keys or things you would tell or advise someone who's inspiring to be an author but's going back and forth? You know, whether I should write a book or if my story will be heard.
You know the wealthiest place on earth?
The wealthiest place on earth, the graveyard.
Right. The wealthiest place on earth is the graveyard. And that's because a lot of us go to our graves with brilliant ideas that could have impacted the world, but instead we said, oh, maybe later. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next year, or one day I'll write a book, or one day I'll start that business, or one day I will go to school, or one day I will push this invention, or one day I will. How many days you think you got? How many days you think you got? One of these days, you're gonna run out of days.
You're right.
And if you keep pushing things back, you'll never know the impact you can make. You never know how many people you can heal. You never know how much of a difference you're going to make and heal yourself, right? There's too many times we didn't even forgive ourselves for things that happened to us, or things in our lives. We might still need healing from it, and writing could be therapeutic for you. There might be someone you run into that needs your story, and they don't even know that they needed it. But your testimony, again, is not even for you. It's for someone else that's going through that exact same situation right now. If they heard your story, if they read your book, if they went to your seminar, if they purchased your product, if they participated in your courses, if they use your invention, their life would be so much different. Stop being selfish.
Mm, I like that. Stop being selfish. Stop being selfish. I feel like you kind of answered my next question. What is anything such as there's a saturation in the book in certain genres? You spoke about genres earlier in terms of being very specific. You know, a type
Now, I
of
mean,
genre.
like, a saturated market means nothing. How many companies have bread in the grocery store? They all serve its purpose.
You're right.
I want the bread that you got. Like, what the difference does it make? It's coming from me, so it's different. What's the difference between this book and all the other books? It's coming from me. This is my life. This is my perspective, or this is my children's book, or this is my cookbook. This is my poetry book. This is my story, my life, whatever. This is your twist on it. You know how many books about Abraham Lincoln is being written?
You're
Like,
right.
come on. How many? Like, there's so many books about Abraham Lincoln. So what if there's another book about this particular subject? That's a blessing. It's a blessing. Make your mark, okay? Take your place, make your mark, live your life. Stop making excuses for why you don't want to do it.
That's you're
I don't
100%
care.
right. You're 100% right.
I don't care how many hip hop books are created. Y'all need mine. Y'all need mine. Okay? I don't care how many victim conquering stories are out there. I don't care. I don't know how many there are, but we need to hear your story. We need to hear
Yeah,
your story. So forget about a saturated market. Yeah, there's a bunch of children's books. Yeah, there's a bunch of coloring books. Yeah, there's a bunch of stories about abuse and things. It doesn't matter. I need to hear your story.
that's
So
definitely great.
don't be afraid to share your story. It will inspire others.
That's definitely great. That's definitely great. And being that said, after you got your first best-selling author, I'm sure that you had like some challenges or getting there and also doing more than one best-selling book. So like what was some of the challenge that you had to overcome?
I'm a student in the game, so I'm always learning something. Because the people that participated in my first workshop, I didn't know as much as I do now. So there's I'm still learning, but I like to give people information as I learn and develop it. So there was some things I had to learn the hard way. I was like, oh shoot, I didn't even know that. Like, oh, if I do this differently, we have better sales or whatever the case may be. So be specific in terms of being specific. um I would say make sure you partner with the right people, because some people can see your light and want to take from it.
Mm,
Some people can see where you're going, even when you don't even see it all the time, right? I don't know if you ever watched the movie The Matrix, right?
no, I haven't.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'll give a different example. Let's just put it this way. You can't see the picture when you're in the frame.
Mm,
So sometimes people looking into what you have going on could be like, oh, wow, this dude's going to be a millionaire. Oh, shoot, I need to be a part of what he got going on. But they come to take, they don't come to add value to your life. You understand? So be mindful of the business partners you bring on board. Be mindful of the partnerships and just be more strategic with how you move, because everyone that says they want to help you isn't there to help you. Okay, so pay attention to people's character, their track record, and if you see an opportunity for growth, put it in writing. Contracts, make an agreement, make a partnership agreement, or make a collaboration agreement. It's called a MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. Have certain things in place that both of you or all of you have signed off on, so it makes your life a lot easier. There's no need for a back and forth. You got everything laid out. Does that make sense?
that definitely makes sense. Oh, so you said something about you're working on becoming a New York Times bestseller. So is that book coming out sometime this year or once
No,
you like
the process is a little different this time, right? There's a difference between independent publishing and traditional publishing, right? When you independent publishing, you drop the book whenever it's ready.
yeah.
I could drop a book tomorrow if I wanted to. But with traditional publishing, there's there's a whole layout. There's a rollout, if you will. They need to shop it around for the best deal. Once they get the deal, they got to do this, they got to do that, they got to do that. There's so many proposals, there's so many meetings, there's so many things going in place. And once you get a traditional deal, now you're in the queue with a whole bunch of other authors that got a traditional deal. So you got to wait till their plans roll out. So it's like getting a record deal with a major label. There might be other artists that are already lined up before you that you got to wait on, or there might be certain levels in the process that you may or may not known about that take a long time. So it takes 6 to 18 months to traditionally publish. You got to be patient. So next year is the short answer to that question.
No problem. I mean, so now leads me to my question. Being the fact that it takes longer to go through the traditional way, is it better for an author just to go through the self-published way? I guess like that's what your program teach about. So is that something
Yeah,
you?
so my program is geared towards self-publishing, right? there are pros and cons to everything. So I can't say one is better than the other. I would say understand the difference. We just mentioned with the traditional publishing, you're gonna have to wait. It's gonna take a long time. With independent publishing, you could drop it like it's hot. You could drop it like it's hot anytime you want to. Now, with independent publishing, you gotta be the marketer or hire one yourself. You gotta be the editor or hire one yourself. You gotta find the team to put in place for you. You know, not a lot of people want to do that, have the time or skill to do that, so they push it off to somebody else. You know what I mean? So you can do things yourself, invest 100% in yourself, and get that back tenfold. Or a traditional publisher, they often give you money to exercise those things that you have, of course, have to pay back, but they give you money so that way you can do all the things that you need to do. And they have a team in place for you. They have a machine that's going to push you and elevate you. You know, I don't know how much I would personally have to spend if I'm going for New York Times bestseller. But instead of me spending personally, I have a marketing team that'll do that and they pushed it for me.
That's great. So I want to ask a question, like in terms of your program, does your program like help authors with the whole editing, um, all that? Is that all put
Absolutely.
into place?
Absolutely. So there's different, of course, there's different levels and different packages, but we have packages where we do everything for you, or we have packages where we show you where to get the best of the best for the least amount, you know? So I spent a considerable amount of money for every aspect of my book because I didn't know any better. Now, the way the technology is, the way the network and the resources is, you can get a lot done on a smaller budget. So we show you where to get the editors, or we can have in-house editors edit it for you.
That's great. And what is the cost of being part of your program?
It depends on what you need. Our packages start at $700 depending on what you need. So anywhere from 700 to 29.97, depending on how much you need us to do with you or for you. There's some people that say, hey, you know what, my book's already complete, I just need help marketing it and getting to bestseller status. $700. Okay, we can do that, no problem. If you're looking for from start to finish, everything in between, you want to know, it's $14.97 or $29.97. And the beautiful part about that is we do payment plans and all that stuff. That's cool. But the most important thing that I want to share with you is that we actually teach you how to be an independent author. People don't usually do that. People that have the information want to keep the information. So they don't share with you how to do it. They'll do it for you. And you don't learn anything in the process. That's why you have so many authors who put a book out, but they can't tell you any of the steps that they did because somebody else did it for them. They paid somebody and they don't know anything. They didn't gain or learn anything. I give so much information that after the course, you're not even going to need me. You got it on your own.
That is definitely great. The only question I do have for the viewers, like how long is the program? If they're gonna do it like the complete program with you, from starting the book to publishing, like how long would that take? Well, that depends on the person's momentum.
No, the course itself is a 5-week course, and we have a bonus week as well, right? We do a bonus happy hour at the end. Now, the course itself is 5 weeks. We do not expect you to complete your book in 5 weeks, okay? But we will give you all the information you need to be able to complete the book, all right? So some authors take 3 months, some take 6 months, some take longer than that. It just really depends on you and your pace. But we like to provide you all the information so you can take it and run with it.
Okay, that's definitely great. That's definitely great. So I would like you to close out with a word of wisdom, where people can find you. Um, yeah.
Mm. Word of wisdom. So before I do that, I'll just share with you what I have going on right now. I'm sitting in the Royal Communications Center. If you can see this behind,
Yes.
we have the music studio. Next room is my office where the millions are being made. Down there, the next room is a podcast room. And then we have a photography studio as well. So we're at the Royal Communication Center. So any creative that you know, please bring them down. We'll love to help. And I forgot to mention this when you asked me where I see myself in 5 years, but definitely growing out this space and helping over 10,000 youth become entrepreneurs. So we'll be running programs out of here. So you can find me royalcenterct.com. You can find my personal page. Everything is at Young Executive. So YOUNGEXEKUTIVE. You can go to youngexecutive.com, or all social media platforms are at Young Executive. So that's that. As far as a word, that's good. I'm trying to think because I always like
But
to end.
before you say that, I just have one question. The programs for the youth, is it you have anything planned for the summer or?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
If I do put something for the summer, I would have to like roll that out now. So we're more than likely are going to. So double check with me.
No problem.
Because what I want to do is bring in some instructors. I want to be able to teach them, whether it's physical, well, definitely teach them physically and virtually, how to operate cameras, how to be a director, how to be an audio engineer, how to be a podcast producer. So all of these things I want to teach. And I want to start with the summer program, but also get into a fall after school program as well.
I like the idea. I like the idea.
Maybe they can run podcasts like yourself.
Yes,
All right.
indeed.
So as far as a word, I'm trying to think of a good quote, but I'll just leave you with a few of them. Bizzle is a rapper who's Christian, very popular rapper who's Christian. He said they got you ready to murder your brethren over $1 that only cost them 4 cents to print. It's evident we need help, but the question is, do we serve a living God or a dead president?
Mm.
So I
So
say
far.
that because there's bars. Yeah. I say that because there's been a lot of violence in our community. There's been a lot of things for a very long time. You know, it's not going to be fixed today, but what he's saying in that quote is the US government can print $100 bill for 4 pennies on the dollar, or 4 pennies to create $100 bill. But we put so much value and emphasis on that piece of paper that you would kill someone who looks like you for that. I want you to put more value and emphasis on God than you would on money, on God than you would your job, on God than you would anything on the planet. Because if you looked at your brother and sister as a creation from God, you would reevaluate your decision making. Another one, as far as uplifting and encouragement, would be from Jay-Z. Jay-Z says, I'm different. I can't base what I'm gonna be off of what everybody isn't. So if you look around and there's no examples of success, even in your family, your neighborhood, your state, your country, whatever, if there's no, in your whole environment, your world, there's no examples of success, guess what? You need to be the example. I don't care if it's 1,000 people who tried and failed. That means they ain't you and you ain't them.
You're right.
You're different. You're different. So you got to push beyond your wildest dreams. Okay. And last but not least, Nipsey Hussle says the highest human act is to inspire. The highest human act is to inspire. So make sure you continue to spread love. Make sure your life is a testimony. Okay. Make sure you inspire people by your actions, your words, and your life. So that's all I wanted to share with y'all.
Nah, thank you.